Guys, I just want to extend my gratitude to all of you for your kind thoughts and messages as a result of this earthquake in Bangkok, or in Thailand, Myanmar, Thailand. I just decided to make the video just to tell you, number one, I'm alright, although it does look like an earthquake zone here. If you want to know what's going on here, watch the next video. I'll go into detail exactly what we're doing here. We're in Pontoutini. We got out of Bangkok last night. One of the reasons we got out of Bangkok last night was because of the fear of tremors. One of the condo buildings next to us was evacuated completely. It was structurally damaged, and it was right next door to us in Bangkok. But sit tight and I'll tell you how I experienced it and what it was like. So it was about, this is Saturday, so it's Friday the 28th of March 2025. That's the day it happened. What the hell is it? That's the day it happened. And I was at home alone on the ground floor of our condo building. There's 4 buildings in the condominium complex, and we're on the ground floor, and I was on my own. And just as a precursor to what I'm going to tell you, it was kind of not a comedy of errors, but a sequence of events that caused me to misunderstand what was going on. I'll tell you what happened. The previous day, the management company of the condo are changing hands at the end of the month. And the previous day, they were going through checklists with the handover, let's say. And one of the aspects of that was safety, health and safety, fire and that. And they sent out a memorandum on social media to say that they were testing the fire alarms, you see. So the previous day, the fire alarms were all going off intermittently. There's 4 buildings and they were going off intermittently, on and off, and we knew that's what it was. So fast forward the day of the earthquake, the next day, I was sitting at my computer, again on the ground floor. And the reason I say that, it probably would have been worse if I was in a high-rise. But I was sitting working on my computer, and I'm on this office chair kind of thing that's on a stem. You know, the office chairs are on, and it wobbled a little bit. And I felt it wobble. I thought I felt it wobble. Then I felt my head go, like, what the hell? Like it was on a gyroscope. And I began to panic a little bit. Not because I thought it was an earthquake, because I thought it was me. I had vertigo before. I had a very bad vertigo attack about, must have been 14, 15 years ago. And I couldn't walk. And I was bad for about a week, and I'm still suffering from vertigo. I mean, there's limitations to what I can do. Like, I can't look straight up too quickly, and if I lie down, I need 2 pillows. I can't lie on just one pillow. It'll send me into a tizzy, let's say. But I suffer a little bit from vertigo. I thought this was a vertigo attack, and I stood up out of my chair, and I was like this. It's true as God, no messing. And I said, hang on a second, I thought it was me. And I was putting it down to high blood pressure, vertigo or something, and I lay down on the bed, and I struggled to get to the bed. And as I lay on the bed, it kind of subsided. I felt it was we're still moving, but again, I thought it was me. Anyway, the here's and reels of it was, I took my mind off it, because I thought it was me, you see, so I took my mind off it. I was watching something on YouTube, and I said, take my mind off it, I hope it goes away. And when I stood up again, I was grand. And as I was going out to pick up my son from school, and this is about 10 to 2, and I decided to pick him up early for another reason. There was something else I needed to do, and I said I'd pick him up early. Normally I don't pick him up till about 10 past 2. I don't set out till about 10 past 2. And when I left, I exited the door of our ground floor apartment, I had to go up a walkway and out onto the main the thoroughfare, let's say, the main part of the condominium complex where all the car park is. It was full of people. And I'm looking around, I said, God, they must be still doing the fire drills. This is true. And I didn't really think much of it, but then I felt myself go again like this. And I didn't notice anybody else. Because I felt it was just me. I just thought it was me. And I got into my car. And I left the complex and I drove up onto the main Rashid Afasik Road. It was surreal. It was, imagine a football stadium, 100,000 people, and everyone all left at once. Everyone was on the streets, and the surreal thing about it was they were who they were in an instant. In other words, they evacuated their rooms dressed as they were when they were doing what they were doing. There were people in their pajamas. Now this is 1 o'clock or 2 o'clock in the afternoon, but there were people in their pajamas. There were people in a state of undress. There were people in suits and ties. It was amazing. It was surreal. It was absolutely surreal. And then obviously I know that the traffic was just at a standstill. And I still didn't know what was going on. I really didn't. I began to think, hang on, this isn't a fire drill. What's going on? I was oblivious. I said, is this something I don't know about in Bangkok? And then I called my wife. She works in Sukhumvit in a bank. She works in Sukhumvit. And she said to me, are you all right? And I said, well, now that you mention it, I was going to tell her I felt a bit lightheaded. And she said, pick up Harry from school. Well, that's what I was doing. He's not in the school. He's out in the schoolyard under a shelter because of the earthquake. And I says, what earthquake? And it was the biggest sense of relief I've had in a long time. I said, it was an earthquake. It wasn't just me. That's the truth. And I wasn't making light of the situation, but I went live on the Big Picture L Panorama as I was driving. I'll try and leave a link to that in the description of this video. It's a 30 minutes video, me driving around showing you the people standing on the streets and stuff like that. But it took me 2.5 hours to drive 2.5 kilometers. And then when we eventually did get home, it was about 4 o'clock. People had started going back into their buildings, although there was aftershocks. Well, I didn't feel the aftershocks. The wife works in Sukhumvit, and she had said to me we were going to come up here anyway, but we had planned to come up here at 4 or 5 o'clock in the afternoon. She left Sukhumvit at 4 o'clock. She got home at 10:30 in the evening. That's what the traffic was like. So we're glad to be up here in Pontutini because there's no high rise here, obviously. I was talking to an Italian friend of mine who lives in the house next door, and he said it was fairly bad here in Pontutini is 50 kilometers north of Bangkok. He said it was fairly bad here yesterday during the tremors, but I can tell you that it wasn't so terrifying for me because I thought it was terrifying insofar as I thought it was me. I thought it was me head. I thought there was something wrong with me. And when I realized it was an earthquake, there was a sense of relief. But the sense of relief, it never turned into panic because the tremors had subsided. Well, there was another tremor expected when I was driving to pick my son up from school. But I'll say this for the Thais, they were very calm and collect, standing out in 38 degrees Celsius. I don't know what that is in Fahrenheit. You know, I only speak English. But 38 degrees Celsius, standing out in whatever shade they could, with little or no information other than the fact that they couldn't go back into their buildings because of the threat. If you're wondering what that is, by the way, the wife's ordering shit soil. I'd call it shit soil. Look, I'll go into this in the next video. If you want to know what's going on here with these trucks, you see them there? You can probably just make them out there. I'll go into more detail about that. But it's enough to say that I'm safe and well, and thank you all very much for your kind thoughts. I don't know anyone who was affected, and I just say it's an awful shame. It's a tragedy. The building that collapsed, as far as I know, there's only one. The building that collapsed was under construction. It was a government building. It was designed for the civil service. I don't know, but it collapsed, and 43 people apparently were trapped. God help them, and thoughts with their families and everything else. But it's one of those things. And one thing to note is Bangkok or Thailand it's not in the zone, an earthquake zone, and by default the buildings in Bangkok are not built to withstand earth tremors, and that's why that building collapsed. I think Myanmar has those let's say those I think in Myanmar all buildings are certified to be earthquake proof. I don't know. I know in Tokyo they are, but in Bangkok they're not. and that was the concern. And there was a state of emergency declared by the government yesterday, but as I don't see anything. There's no restriction on movement or travel or anything like that. And I just want to thank you again, lads. Thanks so much for your consideration. I'm making a video at the moment actually about staying sane in Thailand, and that's coming up next. This is the next video. That was to be the next video. I decided to put this one up first just because it's topical and just because so many people have been asking. Thanks again, lads. Everything's A-OK. I'll see you again soon.